It's pretty funny actually. The that Progenitor Police is not actually the first project that myself and Daniel, the artist, worked on together. A long time ago, I guess, a long time ago in a coffee shop far, far away in Wichita, Kansas. I was working on a game that I thought was going to be the actual first game I was going to make and succeed in making, because up to this point I'd been part of so many projects that just never got past the concept stage, and that's the burden of being a volunteer developer, because you still have to depend on everybody who's in the same situation as you. They all have day jobs as well and stuff like that. So you never know who's dependable and who really wants to take this project to fruition. Um, but the closest I ever got was this project, and the project was called Soul Arena. Uh, that's pretty much what we came up with at first. I think eventually we thought it was so cheesy that we changed it to Eternal Guardians, which is not really any less cheesy, but at the same time, it had promise, and I was still learning personally, so it was kind of a way for me to improve on everything that I had done up to that point. So when I brought Daniel on to help me out with the art on that, it was because I really just didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was doing as far as like modeling and things like that. I was just learning ZBrush and all kinds of things, and I just at this point just didn't know how to texture properly, I guess. That was kind of my big drawback, is that I wasn't good at all at texturing. I didn't even get the grasp of the basic part of it. And since Daniel was a digital painter of sorts. Actually, he was more of a traditional painter back then. He kind of had to make the hop to the digital realm, but he kind of knew what he was doing in terms of things like shadow and contrast and all that stuff. And I didn't really know at that point, because I was hard-lined into the modeling thing. And so I basically made up UV maps for him for a lot of the characters in the game, like the statues in the Hall of Elementals, which is it's this giant hall with all these deities, I guess, and they're all statues and whatever. And I basically got the UVs laid out for them, which were awful UVs, by the way. Even I'm a stickler for that stuff now. I can UV properly now, so I know what's what and how to place my seams and stuff. But back then I didn't really know at all, so I basically just gave him this flat map of UVs and told him to paint on it, and I kind of like pointed out to him where the landmarks were for like the face and the body and stuff like that. And he actually he did go ahead and do that, and it was pretty good how it turned out at first, and I was pretty happy with everything the way it turned out. And so I was putting a lot of my time into the actual environment art and things like that, because I think I had this crazy notion that an environment artist was an easier to get job than a character artist. Even though I did want to be a character artist, I think I was making this really uneducated decision as far as goes what the easier job was to have, because of course I still wanted to be in the industry at this point. I wanted to have my role in the industry. I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to take 5 years, and lo and behold, I did take 5 years. But at that point, I just didn't want to wait. So I thought environment artist was an easier job, and so I started taking that on. And boy, was I wrong. I mean, I didn't really know what I was doing at all there either. But I managed to churn out 2 environments for the game. One was modeled, actually 3 environments. One was modeled and never textured, but the other 2 were textured very horribly. But I improved with each one a little bit. Mostly when I had the ruins, I did that level. That's when I was starting to learn ZBrush, so I was just blown away by how I could use things like normal maps and stuff. Stuff I was using for the first time, and I really didn't know how much better it could have been. So I was using the normal maps and all kinds of things like that, and I was like, wow, this looks just incredible, you know. And of course, looking back at it now, it looks like crap. I've grown so much in my profession and in my skill that I mean, I can, like, when I did the character art for Persephone, I did the original model for her as well, and that was in 2008. And whenever I did that, like, I was just, I thought it was the coolest thing ever whenever I had normal map abs on her, you know. But 4 years later, I actually decided to revisit the character, the concept that Slow Joe Daniel has originally done. And I revisited the concept and did a new model, and the difference is just amazing. Yeah, we're talking about 4 years of difference here between the two times that I made the model, and I mean it floors me how far I've come just looking at those two models. So that is what it was. But what eventually, the thing that happened with the project, it's kind of a mystery. Basically, one day, because we had gotten to alpha at this point, and that was the furthest I'd gotten with any project. So one day, the leader, Julius, I don't remember what his last name was, but Julius just literally stopped showing up. He stopped showing up in the IRC chat, didn't say a word, didn't say anything, you know, and I never knew what happened to him because he literally just stopped. And the IRC, or yeah, it was the IRC and the forums we had set up, they stayed up for a year after he disappeared, I guess. And the guy he had who was the admin on the forums, he eventually took them down after a year of just silence. So to this day, I still never knew what happened. And I'm like, I'm sitting here going, I hope he didn't die, you know, some miraculous circumstance, because it was just the circumstances and what it happened under, I guess. And we were moving along, we were doing something. It would have been a big project if we knew what we were all doing, but either way, what surrounds it failing is kind of always been a mystery. And so, Julius, if you're out there, what the hell, man? But so that's pretty much what happened to Soul Arena, and that was the first project that myself and Daniel had worked on together.